tragedy. Lost in the drought of nightfall, running in search of the remedy, trying to find her place in it all. Focused only on the negative. All she can attract is pain. Perception is what will manifest. Thought she could escape, but it's all the same. Birds fly south for the winter, but she ran to the west side. And though much was stolen, much still abides. And I know she'd rather keep her distance, but it's time.
Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host, Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk, episode 20, season 10, episode 21, season 10 of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. Welcome. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I'd like to say up front. You should have seen the Baltimore Ravens recap. You should have seen the WNBA Game 1 recap. Once this video is, I've finished with this video, I'm going to recap that embarrassing game of Monday Night Football. I'm still kind of mind-boggled how 30 seconds were burnt off the clock to kick a 64-yard field goal. It makes no sense, but be tuned in for that video. In this video, we are talking about the Washington Commanders versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Washington Commanders, we defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-22. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So a couple things. Start with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz threw 27 of 41, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I've heard some things, people kind of are more on the negative side. And let's talk about that a little bit. On the first interception, he stared down. I can't forget on the first pick who he threw the ball to, but he just didn't put enough oomph into the ball. It wasn't a bad pass. I think that's another one he could have had back. I wish he could have had back. The second one, it was not a smart pass. It was one of those decisions where it's the brain farts that Carson's had when he was in Indy and Philadelphia, and those interceptions led to 10 points. But there were 5 pass attempts. One of those with Logan Thomas. There was the one pass where he had Dax Milner open. That would have been the game-winning, which was the game-winning drive. But for the most part, I think Carson did his job. I mean, instead of kind of, getting down on himself the game, he went right back to work. I mean, Terry McLaurin, the 49-yard touchdown to take the lead down to 2. Carson and that offense drove down the field. I mean, on a 13 play for 90-yard drive to end the game with Jahan Dobson on the game-winning touchdown. That's the Carson Wentz we're looking for. And those are the type of games that are going to silence the Carson critics. I'm very proud of his performance. And to make it even better, Washington, ladies and gentlemen, playmaking offensively is the key. Like, yes, I look at Terry McLaurin. He had two catches for 58 yards. But Curtis Samuel, hey, I got to give him his flowers. I mean, I've been hard on him about I shot to Sean Spencer, talked about the Washington looked into trading him, and he let people know that he was in the building. He rushed for 17 yards. He caught 8 passes of 55 yards and a touchdown. Jaheed Dobson, 3 passes for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not a way bad to start your rookie career. Logan Thomas looks good. J.D. McKissick, Armani Rogers, even Antonio Gibson all had 120 yards and for at least 72 yards combined. Like, the offense looked really, really damn good out there. Those are the things that we're looking for. Offensive consistency. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, there was a couple things. I'm gonna start with the corners. They did not really have they didn't have a good game. I looking at particularly Kendall Fuller and William Jackson III. Brandon St. Just, those guys. I'm looking at my number 1, number 2 corners, because they were either getting roasted on just getting flat out beaten, or they committed stupid penalties. Like Trevor Lawrence just found the game was easy for Trevor. Like, both of them, they've had moments like this last year, and they played better in the second half. But we have gotten on. We need to see what the pass rush looks like. But to have your corners, I need more from them. Like, that was clearly a disappointment. I mean, the fact that just with the penalties, particularly, they combined Jacksonville and Washington. We combined for 19 penalties. There was the roughing the passer. For example, I think one of those were like 13 accepted penalties against Jacksonville, which helped our second touchdown. And then there was the unnecessary roughness on Derek Forrest. That was really the only truly mistake he had, and that led to the field goal in the third quarter. But other than that, the rushing defense was not all that great. Yes, we did limit Jacksonville to 3 on 12 third down attempts. We did get to Trevor Lawrence, but they did average a little over almost 7 yards per carry and ran for 123 yards. James Robinson rushed for 67 yards. Travis Etienne rushed for 47 yards on 4 carries. I'm curious to see how they look against DeAndre Swift, who I think rushed from 145 against Philadelphia. I'm looking to see how those guys respond. Overall, it was a good game. I still had faith that they would win. The start was pretty good. The start of the game was, Carson, the first drive of the game was a 3-yard touchdown to Curtis Samuel. Because the last time we scored on its first 2 possessions, I believe it was the 1991 season where it was 35-0 against the Detroit Lions. Fun fact. But other than that, when I looked at the game, there's some things that need to be cleaned up for sure, but I'm not mad at it. FedEx Field, it was definitely the crowd was into the game. I'm amazed. I was very surprised. I would say another issue that I had was the turnovers. It's interesting. Look, I looked at the stat. Washington, they've lost 34 consecutive games, and then there's 5 under Robert Rivera, if I'm saying this correctly, when they've turned the ball at least 3 times. The last time that happened where we turned the ball over 3 times was a win against the Chicago Bears. That was in 2010. D'Angelo Hall had 4 picks. And we were up 14-3 going into halftime. And there was a play up there. It was a fumble. Curtis Samuel, it was a run play, and he fumbled the ball. And that was one. Carson Wentz threw the 2 interceptions on the consecutive back-to-back on the drives. And then the 2-point conversion became 8. We were down 8. I think since the start of the 2000 season, I want to say that I'm saying this correctly, we are 7-67 when we commit at least 3 turnovers. And against a team like Jacksonville, I was surprised by that. But these are things that I expect Jack Del Rio to clean up on the defensive side of the ball. Derek Forrest, it's kind of my defensive player of the game. Started for Cam Curl, coming out of Cincinnati, did a really good job on the defensive side of the ball. I know that he broke up that 2-point possession, that 2-point conversion attempt. He had the game-winning interception. I know he did put. I think he put a big hit on Travis Etienne that forced a fumble. And then Carson Wentz is the offensive player of the game as well for Washington, because for the most part, like I said, he stayed the course. It's interesting. Carson is the first. He's the first quarterback since Kirk Cousins throwing for these 4 touchdowns. Even though when Kirk was here, he didn't throw an interception. That was against Buffalo, and I want to say it was Philadelphia. The last time we've seen that, I want to say it was Rex Grossman, but they lost to Dallas. I think the final score was like 33-30. It was something like that. And fun fact, the guy who just actually as good as his number retired by the Washington Commanders, but that stat line that Carson had was Mr. Sonny Jerkson back in 1964. So, hang your hats on those stats. But, other than that, it was a great game. It was a good game. Jacksonville, I think we all expected everything that we were looking for from Jacksonville. It's a young team. Trayvon Walker didn't disappoint. Everything is on the bright side for Jacksonville. Looking up. If you pushed me, I didn't really see anything that I didn't expect. Let's just look on Jacksonville's side of the ball really quick. I think they have to be better. They got to start faster. Just those first 2 possessions, they just had 3 yards completing. Trevor Lawrence had like 4 or 9 passes for 50 yards. That can't happen. The offense has to be better. And then Jacksonville, they didn't capitalize on that first interception. On that first turnover, excuse me. And that kind of hurt them. Missing the 37-yard field goal going into halftime. They just come away with 3 field goals and a touchdown. That you got to capitalize on those mistakes. James Robinson looked good off his injury. Like I said, it finished the game 11 carries, for 66 yards. But other than that, like Trayvon Walker, we know he was going as number 1 overall pick. He definitely is definitely promised. I'm going to call it Trayvon Walker is Rookie of the Year. Guaranteed. I think the last time his first career sack, I think he joins Kevin Hardy, Reggie Nelson, and there's somebody else. So I think he's on the defensive line and play in the early 2010, something like that. I can't think of his name, but I know those 2 names come to my mind. And then I think what killed Jacksonville too was a lot of unnecessary penalties. Like I said, for both Washington and Jacksonville, penalties. They had 13 penalties for 90 yards. That's you got to be a better disciplined team than that. But I think this was Jacksonville's game to win and Washington's to lose. But when it counted, Washington stayed the course. They stayed poised, and a win's a win. Now, going into next week, there's some things you got to clean up if you're Washington. You got to clean up just a little bit on the defensive side of the ball, particularly your corners. I think so. You're really going to be in the film room studying if you're Fuller and Jackson III. Painfully, Fedorin Mathis is out with a torn meniscus for a season. He's out for the season, and he definitely had promise. So hopefully he will be back. Hopefully he will be back next year on the roster. But I mean, other than that, it was a good game. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of the game? How did your team do week 1? And again, please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate the support you're giving me in this. Appreciate the support you give it me and this channel. Yes, I mean, be tuned in for future episodes. Be on the lookout for those other videos. I got the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks recap coming up in just a little bit, so be tuned in for that. But closing message: hope everybody has a great evening, great Tuesday. Make tomorrow a better day than it was before the previous day, and continue to strive like that. Make each day better than what it was before. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good night. Stay up.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.
I ran away from heartbreak. Got nothing in return for my pain. I never thought I'd be so empty, so alone and afraid. Wasn't looking for a lover. Nobody understood where I've been. I guess I thought I needed more time to protect my love from potential offense. So I